welcome back to Inside the Minds of Authors is All Then podcast today. So we're excited you guys are joining me. I'm DC Gomez, your host, and I have the amazing Miss Kay joining us today. So you guys are going to have an amazing time with this author. Remember, we're here to bring you exciting and passionate authors with new books every single time. So if you're watching us live, remember that we're here live on YouTube as well as Facebook. So I'll be looking down in case you guys have some comments. So go ahead, and if you're listening to the replay, make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a single episode, even if you're watching live. We have amazing authors coming on, and this summer is going to be great. So we're going to do an entire season very quickly. Then you can go back and listen to the audios at your leisure. So I'm excited you guys are joining us. If you're in Texas, you're probably hot because it's really burning. So hey, cool off, grab a drink, enjoy. And because you guys are here to listen to our author, let me bring the fabulous Miss Kay. Hello, madam. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
It is a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited you're here. And we're going to start with our book reading. So, Miss Kay, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce the book and start the reading. So, thank you.
My book is Mission Thaw, and it's one in a series of three. The other two have not been published yet, but we're working on that. And so, without further ado, I will start. August 1987, Vienna, Austria. My voice coaching got out early. It's nearly noon. It's hot and unbearably humid. Heading towards the trolley stop, I zigzagged through the hordes of tourists. After a block or so, I turned to see if he's still following me. Yep, it's the same guy. Dressed like an American, the one I saw leave Rowan's dorm room last night. When I told Rowan about being tailed, he laughed and tried to distract me by kissing me, but it didn't work. I laid into him about skipping out on language study dates. He's well aware that we're required to meet in order to pass the fluency test, the test I need to pass to start my apprenticeship at the Vienna State Opera. If I don't, I might lose my grant and be told to pack my bags. And that isn't happening, Mr. Rony Dutch boy. A traffic light stops me. Hopefully that guy will go the other way. Once walking again, I decide that I'll find myself a new study partner, but I'll keep Rowan as a boyfriend. He's got the cutest dimples and makes me laugh. Smiling, I recall that he's not bad between the sheets either. I'm heading to the university to catch him for lunch. Boy, has he got some explaining to do. I see a trolley approaching my stop and decide to run the rest of the way to catch it. It'll be close, but I'm sure I can make it. Then I see her. A young mother with a baby stroller exiting the rear of the trolley. Just as she steps down and places the stroller on the cobblestones, her long skirt gets caught in the closing doors. Knowing that she'll be dragged, I run faster, screeching at the top of my operatic lungs. Halt! Halt! The crowd in front of me turns and parts as I sprint down the sidewalk and stop on the tracks in front of the trolley, holding up my arms. The driver yells and motions for me to clear the tracks. Damn grump. Still huffing and puffing, I tell him about the woman and point to the door. He checks his rearview mirror, releases the door, and waves me away from the tracks. Struggling to get my wind, I step back up on the curb and let the trolley pass. When I get to the woman, she's crying hysterically, stooping down to pick up the groceries that have fallen out of the stroller bin. She's had a real scare. I squat down to pick up a cabbage and some carrots. When I raise up, my eyes land on him. For a second, he freezes. He's guessed that I'm on to him and ducks into a telephone booth. Who the hell is this guy? Smiling assuredly, I pat the toddler on the head as the woman expresses her thanks and moves on her way. After waiting 10 minutes, the next trolley comes. I relax a bit. He's not in line. But right before the trolley takes off, he jumps aboard, walks past me, and takes a seat in the back. Okay, this is no coincidence. My palms grow sweaty. What should I do? Hopping off at the University of Vienna stop, I really pick up my pace. Panic is growing in my gut. I turn to check to see if he's there. Yep, but this time hanging back. Should I find the campus police and report him? or ask someone to help me on the street? Rowan's working on his MBA in international business and claims that he eats lunch in the cafeteria every day. I stop a student and ask for directions. I'm so nervous, it's hard to remember German. You got to keep your cool, Caitlin. When I find the cafeteria, it's swamped with people. My eyes pan the room, but I can't spot Rowan. A couple of young female students rush up to me. Gross gut. We heard you sing last week at the Johann Strauss competition. Your high notes are incredible. Thank you, I say, still scanning the lunch crowd for Rowan. One of the music students asks, are you teaching at the conservatory? No, I'm apprenticing this fall at the Vienna State Opera. I'm trying to find my boyfriend. He studies here. One of them takes my hand. What's his name? Rowan Meyer. He's a Dutch graduate student in business. She leads me over to a table of students. From the corner of my eye, I spot the American-looking tail close behind us. What the hell? If he's trying to fit in, it's not working. He's wearing Nikes and a Yankees ball cap. What's going on? I'm not well enough known to have earned an opera diva stalker. The Austrian student continues to jabber away, but the other student shakes their heads. She turns to me. These students study business and no one knows him. But maybe you should try asking the chancellor's office. She points down a long highway. I thank her and hurry towards the office. I feel him fall in step close behind me. My pulse quickens. I speed up. He does too. Just as I reach the chancellor's door, he grabs my arm. Hey! I yank my arm away from him. He speaks softly and grabs my arm, the gripper tighter this time. Caitlin Stewart, you can't go in there. Who says I can't? Tearing my arm away, I yell and kick him hard in the kneecap. Running as fast as I can down the hall, I escape out the first exit. Once outside, I turn and look. Surprisingly, he's not following me. Maybe the kick slowed him down. This is a time to get around the building as fast as I can and catch a Charlie back to my dorm. Or should I try to find a police station and report him? No, I'm positive that I saw him come out of Rowan's room last night. I need to talk to Rowan first because something wacky is going on. I continue jogging at a nice clip, but as I turn the corner of the building, I smack into Rowan's 6'4" muscular frame. He grabs me and I hold instantly. Don't make a scene, Caitlin. You are perfectly safe with me. Struggling to escape, I ask through my gritted teeth, what's going on, Rowan? And who is that guy following me everywhere? Just be patient and your questions will be answered. But right now, we're going to walk to the street in a calm manner and get in a car. There are 2 American officials who would like to talk to you. I walk beside him, his grip still tight on my arm. When we get to the street, a late model Mercedes pulls up onto the curb. Rowan opens the back door and half pushes me in. Scoot over, Caitlin. I'm coming too. My temper's flaring. Okay, Rowan, now what we're in the car. You have a lot of explaining to do. Who is that guy following me everywhere? I saw him come out of your room last night. A man in the passenger seat turns to me and smiles. You're perfectly safe, Miss Stewart. His gorgeous bass voice calms me a bit. He's American. We just need a few minutes of your time. The guy who tailed me walks by the car, limping. He gives the slightest glance at us as we take off. The driver chuckles. Looks like he'll be hurting for a while. He should have been more cautious, tailing spicy divas. He's American too. I lean forward, fearing that I'm a plane ticket away from being sent back to my Iowa farm town, where I'll spend the rest of my life working as a cashier at the local grocery store, far from the international opera scene. Are you with the Verdi Foundation? I look around at them. Did I somehow break a rule or something concerning my grant? The driver shakes his head. No, Miss Stewart, we want to talk to you about a job. I look at Rowan. Why do they think I need a job? Sorry, gentlemen, there's been a misunderstanding. I can't take any other engagements for a year. I signed a contract for an international apprenticeship, and it's against union rules. That should clear things up. Rowan takes my hand in his. No, Caitlin, this job won't get you in trouble with the Opera House or your grant. I yank my hand away. I'm still pissed at him. The driver enters a car park. The other guy turns. I thought we talked in Sigmund Freud Park. I have someone holding us some seats in a secluded area. He smiles at me. We can feed the peacocks while we're talking. Feed the birds at Sigmund Freud Park? Is this guy kidding? He just apprehended me. Rowan's, Rowan's hold is firm as we follow the two Americans through the park. They must be melting in their dark suits. The bird feeder fella stops at a refreshment cart. Anyone like anything? I'm treating. He makes sure to buy a paper cone of breadcrumbs. Since I'm hot and sweaty, I ask for a Diet Cola. Finally, we get to our spot, and another young American male nods and walks off. I'm feeling like I'm in a movie. I sit down on a stone bench, and the three men sit across from me. I'm the first to break the silence. Damn it, Rowan, what is going on? The guy who drove pushes up his glasses and smiles. Yeah, I'm sure this all comes off kind of strange. Sorry, Caitlin, we never expect you to go to the university to find Rowan. My eyes flash back to Rowan. So are you a student there or not? He clears his throat. No, I'm not a student. Why did you lie to me? I want to slap him. If you're not a student, why are you living in a student dorm and taking German classes? I throw up my hands. Is Rowan Marr even your own name? Rowan shakes his head and looks down at his lap. He opened us out so that we could contact you. He wasn't trying to deceive you. He was following orders. He acts like this should make perfectly good sense, but it doesn't. Orders? Military? I rack my brain to make sense out of all this. Think, Caitlin. They're not wearing military uniforms, so no, they're not military. They're American, so they're not Austrian detectives or immigration agents. Oh my God, they could be spies. Jeez, how in the hell have I gotten myself caught up in some cloak and dagger ring? I shake my head as my gut is twisting itself into a pretzel. My best guess is they're CIA. Whoa, I better watch my step. I look at the boss man, and something about him disarms me. Deep down, I sense he won't hurt me. Is this your interview protocol? Because if it is, it needs some work. I can't help being a smartass because they've scared me half to death. No one attempts to apologize. I grab my handbag and start to get up. Look, whatever's going on here, I want no part of it. The boss man stands. What if you could be a key player and bring it down the Berlin Wall? I stop in my tracks. His proposition's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Did he slip something in my drink? Rolling my eyes, I ask, how could a 28-year-old opera apprentice from Hodunk, Iowa, help bring down the Berlin Wall? Laughing, I ask, what? Blast out a long high C? I hit a superhero pose. Super diva! Ta-da-ta-da! Rowan covers his mouth to hide a grin, but Mr. Bossman is all business. He shakes his head. Actually, we've got a mission that requires an opera diva that sings Mozart, a real virtuoso. We've been vetting you for months at your graduate school and believe that you, Caitlin Stewart, are the perfect fit for the job. We're calling on you to fulfill this duty to your country. I stand frozen, staring in disbelief. I want to leave, but his deep brown eyes are beckoning me to stay. I sense that he's a real patriot and a man who's used to getting his own way. Sitting back down, I set my handbag on the bench. I point to Rowan. You Dutch boy, whatever your name is, you need to talk to me later about a personal matter. I don't take kindly to romantic manipulation. Did he sleep with me just to recruit me? Is he that much of a puppet for the CIA? Because if he is, that's crazy. I look at him right in the eye. His face turns ruddy red as he nods and looks away. Turning to boss man, I give him my full attention. I have to hear this. Start talking.
Woo! Congratulations, madam.
Thank you.
I have questions. We have an interesting spy novel going on. First book in the series. Let's jump in. Where did this idea come from? And how did you put it all together? Tell us.
This book is based on true facts. And the reason why I didn't write it is like, okay, this is mission so and so, is that I am protecting all the all the spies and their families. And so I decided to change everyone's names and descriptions, but otherwise leave the story the way it happened. And I witnessed a lot of what of this mission that happened. And this book actually started as a PTSD project for me, writing a journal. And I started writing what I had seen and what I'd gone through. And they said, well, this would make a great book. And they really encouraged me. The therapist at the base did. And so, about 6 months later, I started writing a book. And five editions, or not editions, five drafts later, well, we've got a book. I had to learn how to write. I had to go to classes. I had several people try to co-author with me, and I was like, no, I think I can do it on my own. I just have to learn. And so, but I was encouraged all along, even though it took a long process, and I had a kind of a life tragedy happen in the middle, so I put it on the shelf for a while. But in 2024, it was published and it's been out, and people are just fascinated with the story, and it really drives home that it's true. These are true facts. And so, um, this book centers around a group of CIA agents and MI6 agents that are working at the end of the Cold War to stop human trafficking that is happening from the East satellite countries USSR has released, and they have no infrastructure. They're starving, and so they obviously become refugees into the Western countries. I was in Austria at the time. The Austria did not want these people, so they were putting these great big refugee camps on the edge of town, and then that just was perfect fodder for the KGB in East Germany and some dirty Western European businessmen to exploit these people and send them to work camps or to brothels or whatever they wanted to do with them. They'd send the children and the old people back. And that is how East Germany's economy was still going. And so NATO and United States and all of NATO knew that if we could stop that trafficking from happening, not only would we help these people, but they would go down and that Berlin Wall would come down. And so this mission Thaw is at the very end of the Cold War, and it's a race against two things. Actually, you will find out it's not only just a race to find the proof and stop the trafficking that happens, but also along the lines, they find out that two of these KGB officers are also, they have bought plans for a dirty bomb, which they want to sell to Iran, which is also ironic right now because human trafficking has 21 million people are being trafficked in the world as we speak. Okay. It's in every country. It's in I live in a small college town, and 2 weeks ago, there was an article in the paper. 7 men were arrested for trafficking underage women and prostitution for underage girls. It's everywhere. Okay. And so my book really speaks for these people, and I really hit home with the female refugees and the plight that they go through, and many times torture and all. There are graphic things in this book, but I'm trying to hit home with people so that they will be aware of human trafficking and what happens to these people, and they will start trying to do something about it. And I think it's very ironic that also, as the mission goes on, we find out about these plans. And so Caitlin is also in a situation where she can go look for those plans. And so it's a race between the good guys getting the plans and turning them in versus the KGB, selling it to Iran. And look where we're at right now.
You
Yeah.
have so many moving pieces here. There is so much action and everything else. How did
Hmm.
you put it all together? This is your first book, and you're pulling from
Yeah.
real life, you're pulling from your experience. How do you manage to keep it all together into a concise story?
Well, the five drafts, kept honing and kept honing and kept honing. At first, it was a lot longer book. Obviously, needed editing, but also I was trying to give a gentler view because I thought, well, if I write what I really know about what was happening to these women, then nobody's going to want to read it. Well, I was wrong. When I did it nicely and didn't it wasn't an action book, it wasn't an action book, it wasn't going anywhere. And so at some point I was taking classes at a big university near me, and they were saying, okay, less is more, and we need more action in the book. Action, 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 action. And being an actor, that finally made sense to me when someone said that. Then I took a master class with James Patterson, and you get TAs, that work for him. They'll look over some of your work, and they were like, "This is really a cool idea." In fact, they coined opera singing warrior, and I actually used that, in the middle of the book. But they're like, "Yeah, this protagonist, there's just nobody like her out there, and it's really cool, but you have to learn to write action." And so again, they gave me some pointers. I did the fourth draft. And then I was really lucky that a dear friend of mine moved back to my area, and he is a trained and educated playwright, and he has done some film writing. And he said, "I want you to have me look at it." And that was really golden. And that's when I really got to the thing where it moves fast, and I edited everything out that didn't need to be told. And, you know, I just kept thinking, write it like a movie. And after I started thinking that, then I always had an idea of, the timeline of the book, and the outline of the book. So it was just a matter of, you know, making sure that they're, just economizing on the words, and just making sure it always had action, and that it was short chapters, and at the end of the chapter, you're left hanging, you got to keep going.
Oof.
Yeah.
You nailed
So
them.
it
Chapter
was.
one, you totally
Thank
got us
you.
there.
And
Yes.
that's a pretty calm chapter. I mean, there'll be some that will just leave you, whoa, you'll be going, oh my goodness. But yeah, Caitlin, it's in first person, as you saw. And I did it that way because I wanted people, I'm so tired. I mean, I love Mission Impossible. I love James Bond movies, but they're not real. Okay. And I decided to write a real, real is still thrilling, believe me, when you're a spy. You don't need to strap yourself to a bomb and blow yourself out of the back of a jet, I don't know anyone that does that, and I know a
Uh-uh.
lot of spies. And so, this is real, and you're just on her back, like you're piggybacking her the whole book. She is definitely learn as she goes. She never thought she'd be doing this, and she finds out, with information gathering, she's perfect at this. She's very social. She knows all these languages. She has a reason to be at heads at state, balls and opera balls and all this, right with the players. And so all she has to do is act like she's a neo-Nazi, and she gets in this group. And then she can find all the information and report it back. That's what you call a high profile spy. Now, what happens by the middle of the book is, the things just keep happening and happening that draw her much more into the dangerous things. And so she ends up being a combative spy, a combat spy, as well as an information gatherer. And so you go through that whole trip with her. In the second book and the third book, she's a seasoned spy, and she's training people now, you know. But I mean, she starts out a pacifist, always going to protest about something in college and stuff. And by the end, she knows how to, you know, a rifle or a machine gun doesn't mean anything to her. she knows how to use those. And interesting enough, she knows when she needs to use those too. You know, she finds out what kind of evil people are out there, and she's willing to do what she needs to do to stop them hurting innocent people. So she takes a whole turn in this book. She's
I like it.
totally different at the end than she is at the beginning. And
That's
yeah, so it's just that big mission and what happens.
awesome.
Eh, there is even a tiny bit of romance for the ladies who, or some guys like it too. Um, her and her trainer, the head of MI6 there, he is the real James Bond of the day. Ian
Okay.
Fleming used to go to him and ask, "Hey, I'm writing my new book." He would actually, this guy's the real James Bond of MI6, and that was her trainer. And they fall in love. So
I like
yeah.
it. So, you're working on the next books in the series. When are those scheduled to come out? What is the time frame for those?
Well, I'm headed up in August to a cabin, and I'm finishing book two. It's halfway written, but with trying to promote this book, and I still have a full time job, it's a little tough. So I just said I'm taking 2 weeks, and I'm finishing this book. I'm going to have it ready for my editor, and
Nice.
she's already looked at it, and she's like, "Oh wow." See, this is my favorite story, the second book. It's during the Bosnian War, and instead of some sexy MI6 thing, Caitlin teams up with a AWOL Catholic priest who is they're trying to save a bunch of refugee children from ethnic cleansing. So, I mean, it's a really really good story. It's my favorite story of the three, but they're all important.
I love it. So, Madame, tell us, because we are coming up and I want to make sure we get it all. Where can people learn more about you? Where they can learn more about the books? Where they can find yours? Tell us.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I have a big website, ksparlingbooks.com, and lots of what I've been doing to promote this book is on there. A lot about the book is on there. Also, where you may purchase the book. It's pretty much available everywhere. That sells books. Amazon Kindle, Barnes and Noble. If you're in Australia, it's Booktopia, Indigo up in Canada, Kobo up in Canada. So it's pretty easy to find the book. And there's a lot that you can just Google Case Sparling author, and it will show you scads of podcasts I've been on and reviews. The reviews have been wonderful so far. Editorial as well as reader reviews. I'm kind of knocked over, to tell you the truth, being that I'm 65 years old. I was 64 when the book came out, and never ever wrote a thing in my life except academically. And so to hear people and what they enjoy and all, it's just been a real blessing, and I feel very fortunate. Yeah.
Oh,
So.
congratulations, Madame. I'm excited you're working on the second book. You're putting it all together. Tell us, what
Mhm.
advice would you give an aspiring author who's looking at it? Is it too late? Do I still have what it takes? What should I do? What would you tell them?
Well, I'm kind of the grandma Moses, if you know her in the art world. She never even tried to paint until she was way in her 70s. So I'm kind of um, I would think that I would be very inspirational to young authors, particularly, or new authors, because of, if I can do it, then they simply can do it. But they can do it because there are so many different ways you can go about it. Now, I have to tell you, I tried the traditional route, and I was running into brick walls. Agents would be interested. I'd go pitch, live to them, and then, well, their agency didn't want to take it on. Oh, we don't really think opera singing spy is going to sell, and no publisher is going to want to do that. And I tried submitting to publishers, and they'd always tell me my writing was wonderful, but it wasn't what they were looking for. And I went to a couple conferences, and you got to be careful with that because they're very expensive. And and you do hear a lot of good advice, and you do get to pitch many times to agents. But if nothing comes out of that, that can add up really quickly. So my math no, looked at that and said, well, Sparling, you've always been a person that thought outside the box and had to do things differently. Why is this going to be any different? I instead, because right after I got back from one in Minneapolis, the organization, oh, well, hey, now we're having one out in San Francisco. Well, it wouldn't take too long with going to too many of those conferences, and you'd have the money that you spend on the conferences to self-publish. And in my case, I hybrid published, but and so that's the way I decided. I took a gamble and said, I'm just going to do this on my own. And after the book was out, like 6 months, then I had enough money saved to start hiring publicists and social media specialists. And so um, don't think, if the traditional patterns don't work for you, that you're told that you have to go, jump through these hoops. Don't think that's the only way, because it's not the only way. And I think that what I was telling a young woman I was on with last night is, she was saying, Kay, what is your best advice? And my best advice is the same thing was told me when I was trying to break into the international opera world when I lived in central Illinois on a farm. And this is this: never give up. Because sometimes it's just that next thing that you're going to throw out there that someone's going to grab and say, yeah, I think this is good. So you just can never give up. Someone gave me a poem, and it doesn't have a writer, but if you look it up on the internet, just write a poem, never give up. And I had copies of that wherever I was in the world. Okay. And when I'd be discouraged and didn't make an audition or whatever, I would look at that, and you know 15 years later, I'm like singing in all the stages I want to sing on with who I want to sing with. So, you know, that's the hardest part, is just to keep, when you're having so much rejection or you don't know where to turn, to keep going. But if you believe in your story, keep going. And get other authors to read it and give their opinions in the meantime. And I found that other authors were very kind and would give their time freely to me. So or if you know a professor that teaches literature or something at a university, ask them if he's your neighbor or she's your neighbor. And so you just want to keep going. That's the most important thing. And
I
keep
love it.
writing.
I love
Yeah.
it. It's an awesome advice. Miss Kay, we're coming to the end. It has been so much fun talking to you. But before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
Okay, I'm ready.
Super easy. Don't think too much about this. So,
Okay.
candlelight dinner or breakfast in bed?
Candlelight dinner.
Nice. Sweet tea or unsweet?
Sweet. I used to be married to a southerner. Gotta be sweet tea. Yeah.
You understand. Good. Fruit or veggies?
Veggies.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl big time.
Ooh. Hey,
Most of my writing time is between midnight and 3 in the morning.
you are true night owl. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I was in opera. I wouldn't even get home till like 1 in the morning. So,
This is
my
normal.
body's on that schedule, baby.
Here's a little different. Let's see how you do. What character, and it can be any from a film or an animated series, best fits your personality?
Hmm. Well, um, believe it or not, let's go with The Spy, the movie The Spy. It's a comedy, and it had Melissa, what is her name? The comedian, the red-haired gal,
McCarthy? I think is it McCarthy?
Melissa McCarthy. I would have to say Melissa McCarthy in The Spy.
Ooh, I love it. Awesome. Miss K, it has been a pleasure. Congratulations on the book and on the series. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time this afternoon. Do you have any closing remarks?
No, just that if you're wanting a good summer read and you want to stay thrilled and want a feel good story that helps a lot of people, pick up a copy of Mission Thaw. And if you're a writer, keep writing.
I
Keep
love it.
writing.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Miss K. To our
Thank you for
viewers,
having me. I really enjoyed it.
a pleasure. To our viewers and listeners, go ahead, check out Mission Thought. You are going to enjoy it. Huge shout out to the fabulous Miss Gay for joining us on the show. And remember, we have amazing authors joining us anytime with incredible passion. So make sure to subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. Always support us. We're here to bring you incredible new books. And thank you. I will see you guys actually again next week with some amazing authors coming again. So thank you, everyone. Bye.